I'm a neo-reactionary absolutist. I believe in a absolute world order, organized in a particular way.
When you're looking at a government is a corporation that owns a country. It just is. It's the same thing.
I'm Peter Thiel. I support people who are building new things. I'm not a politician, but neither is Donald Trump. And it's time to rebuild America.
Anything we can do to help this go along, and we're going to be there for you. And you'll call my people, you'll call me. It doesn't make any difference. We have no formal chain of command.
Hello again. We're going to be taking a look today at a woman called Louise May Creffield. She runs an organisation called Save Our Rights. She took part in a debate panel called Are Anti-Lockdown Protesters a Threat? And she made a few interesting comments which I'd like to pick up on and explain why it is that, well, let's hear what she said first.
So my name's Louise and I'm Save Our Rights UK, and we were one of the first groups to form and to go out protesting. I've been a Labour member all my life. To smear us all as far right when I'm about as left as it could get. I worked in politics, I worked for Parliament, I worked for a Labour MP. Like, it's just nonsense to even start.
So apparently she's been a Labour member all her life and she's worked for a Labour MP, so she can't be far right. Let's take a look at that comment first. So back in May 2020, so over a year before she was platformed on this panel, she started out doing protests in her hometown of Brighton along the beach. Apparently about only 30 or 40 people attended this one. But within this article, her employer, Mr. Russell Moyle, MP, has made a quote. Ms. Creffield also used to work part-time for Mr. Russell Moyle, who has since described her actions as totally unacceptable. I'm afraid what she is doing is tantamount to bonkers, he said. By going on protests about this, linked with 5G, it's so bonkers that you have no credibility in political discourse, in my view. She's no longer in her position working with this guy for obvious reasons. Let's see what else she has to say.
About that, Piers Corbyn was the next person out on the streets, another Labour member. You can't just smear us as far right. And to do so is to try and discredit what we're saying.
Piers Corbyn, she mentions, was also another person who was at the forefront of these protests and also a Labour member, so he can't be far right. Let's take a look at that, which is easily debunked by him basically admitting himself. Here he is with Mark Collette, a guy who runs an organisation called Patriotic Alternative. He's a notorious fascist. I'm not labelling this whole movement as far right. However, the way that these people allow the far right to just stroke their egos and to get involved and basically run these protests alongside them or puppet these people who are running the protests it just highlights the fact that they don't know what fascism is. They can't recognize a fascist when they see one, and they're just tools for the far-right government that we have currently in power, using them as controlled opposition to discredit any sort of legitimate concerns that people might have with their handling of the COVID pandemic. It's not just Piers Corbyn. Louise was also organising the protest, one of the biggest protests that they had on Trafalgar Square, the first one back in August 29, 2020. She was arrested on another protest. When was this? In March 2021, she was arrested around this time alongside Kate Shemirani for organising these protests, and again alongside Piers Corbyn. And what we know from my earlier video, one of my earlier videos, is that Kate Shemirani is also a Nazi. She's a woman who sells bleach as she doesn't believe in COVID. She thinks it's a fake pandemic, but it doesn't stop her selling bleach in the same way that Trump was endorsing bleach as a cure for COVID. She's a fucking Nazi, a Hitler-saluting Nazi. So also on the protest, you see them always wearing these Jewish yellow Star of Davids as a way to mark themselves as unvaccinated and compare themselves to Jews during the Holocaust, which is just wildly offensive and completely minimizes the Holocaust itself. Coda Story did a report back in 9th of August this year. Louise Creffield gets a mention. The footage featured police radioing and a description of the organization's founder, Louise Creffield, as she arrived at the gathering by open-top bus. Who else was on this open-top bus? It was Martin Daubney. And who is he, you might be asking? Well, Martin Daubney was a former MEP. He campaigned for Brexit alongside Nigel Farage. And if you're a Labour member and you don't think Nigel Farage is far right, then I've got a bridge to sell you.
Scrutiny, and then passed the Coronavirus Act, which is 324 pages long in one day. How you can say this is democracy, I don't know. To say that we are fighting against lockdown and COVID, no, I'm fighting against democracy.
She's what? Fighting against democracy? Is that a Freudian slip right there?
I'm standing up for democracy.
Oh, she just changed it to standing up for democracy.
If you care about politics, if you care about democracy, you ought to be with us.
She says she's fighting for democracy. And this is another protest that she was an organizer of. This article here was written by The Guardian on the 29th of May when they tried to storm the Westfield shopping centre in Shepherd's Bush. And if we take a closer look, there is a Gadsden flag being held in the window. Gadsden flag is ultra-libertarian flag from America, which has been very prominent on their far-right rallies, and especially in the insurrection on January the 6th at Capitol Hill, also in the window. So there are far-right people there who know this shit, and they're putting these dog whistles in that people like Louise May Creffield cannot pick up on. So she's, I'm not far right, but ignore all the far right people in causing all this chaos and destruction. Like, people are just trying to enjoy their freedoms, shopping in a shopping centre responsibly while caring for others who they don't know if they've got underlying conditions or not. But these people who only care about their own freedoms are causing chaos and preventing people from taking part in their own freedoms and shopping responsibly. She's saying not to trust the government. Since when did we trust the government? And I don't trust the government. Nobody trusts this government. But the government are behind these protests. They endorse these protests. This is a video of Jacob Rees-Mogg here, which can be. I've played this video numerous times and included it in other videos. But here he is endorsing these protests. This is what the Conservative government want. They want to delegitimize any genuine concerns that people might have over their handling of the pandemic, and the way that they do that is through bread and circuses, by controlling egotistical figureheads, thinking that they have all the answers when they can't even spot the fascism that is being dog whistled within their own movements.
Messaging is really important, and I think a lot of people miss that, and they just get angry, and it's frustrating because it's like, I get it, like, I'm really angry too, like, I just quite happily shake everyone and go, what the fuck are you doing? But that's not going to get us anywhere, you know, it's just not. They can't hear on TV. Oh, we need to be louder then.
There she is with Lawrence Fox. Lawrence Fox appointed Martin Daubney, who was working with Nigel Farage that I mentioned earlier. He appointed him deputy leader of the Reclaim Party. And here's Lawrence Fox with a guy called Brian Stovall, who is a Britain First supporter. And here he is with his bottle of milk, which we discussed earlier as being a white supremacist dog whistle that dates back almost 100 years. And not only that, Lawrence Fox doesn't care about the vulnerable. He spoke about racism on Question Time. Let's take a look at his response here.
The problem we've got with this is that Meghan has agreed to be Harry's wife, and then the press have torn her to pieces. And let's be really clear about what this is. Let's call it by its name. It's racism. She's a black woman, and she has been torn to pieces.
You can't.
She has been torn to pieces.
It's not racism.
It absolutely is.
We're the most tolerant, lovely country in Europe. Let's celebrate our goodness. It's not racism. It's so easy to throw the charge of racism at everybody, and it's really starting to get boring.
What worries me about your comment is you are a white privileged male who has no experience in this.
I mean, can I
I
just...
can't help what I am. I was born like this. It's an immutable characteristic. So to call me a white privileged male is to be racist. You're being racist.
Lawrence Fox's mixed-race girlfriend at the time dumped him over his comments at Question Time. While he refused to go into detail about his relationship with the unidentified woman, he admitted his comments caused a lot of stress in his family. So it's not just his girlfriend, it's his family. So for Louise Creffield to talk about protecting the vulnerable in this way and then be seen endorsing Lawrence Fox because he's managed to stroke her ego in whatever way he can, this is the problem. You might not be far right, but she's appeasing members of the far right. And it's not only him, and it's not only Martin Daubney, it's loads of people. Here's a protest recently from December. This guy here, he is this guy here.
Speak to Dean, he's great for an interview.
Dean.
What do you think about today, can I ask?
Yeah, it's all right.
What do you think about today?
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's got to be. We've got to be a bit more violent.
Got to be a bit more violent.
Yeah.
You're on live stream.
Oh, wow. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, don't you? Imagine what.
You know what I'm saying, don't you? Also on this event, Sadie Graham from the BNP, here with the orange hair. So this was the day that they tried to storm a media building which they thought was the BBC, but it turned out not to be the BBC. Everyone should recognise that guy right there with the Adidas shirt on. From my videos, the Flying Monkey videos. But these I've been calling the black shirts because that is exactly what they've been acting like. And also we've got... So this is from November this year. Here she is.
We're making a stand. We know there's hundreds of people across...
This guy here, Nick Cotton, unwashed, NRX affiliate, Ralph Maslamani affiliate, and ex-Patriotic Alternative affiliate, Nazi, basically, all over her protests with her. And she either doesn't care, doesn't spot it, or doesn't know about it. And this is the problem when she's denying that there's any affiliation with the far right, because there is. I see it with my own eyes, and just too many people are just closing their eyes to it and gaslighting the nation by pretending that what anti-fascists are seeing, we're not seeing.
Absolutely outrageous.
So the guy who was with her, who she's speaking to, that guy is this guy. This guy here. And what's he got to say?
Yeah. You know, we've got quite a good crowd of people where we could actually do something. Exactly. Was that productive with it, or do you think this is quite productive?
This is productive for a lot of different reasons. It gets people out on the street. This crowd is not at the point where they're ready to storm Parliament or anything like that yet.
Yeah.
So it's just...
This crowd is not at the point where they're ready to storm Parliament. So this is what they're trying to Pied Piper people into doing. And I don't know if Louise May Creffield's aware of this, but the guy who is literally speaking to her, whether that's her boyfriend or whether it's just her work associate or whatever, he's with her quite often. He's got intentions to storm Parliament.
I'm a neo-reactionary absolutist. I believe in a absolute world order, organized in a particular way.
When you're looking at a government is a corporation that owns a country. It just is. It's the same thing.
I'm Peter Thiel. I support people who are building new things. I'm not a politician, but neither is Donald Trump. And it's time to rebuild America.
Anything we can do to help this go along, and we're going to be there for you. And you'll call my people, you'll call me. It doesn't make any difference. We have no formal chain of command.